Alright, so I'm going to try to keep this video short because on the surface, this mouse is basically the same as the older G502 Hero, but with one important difference. It has optical switches, which is actually a big deal because the older G502 Hero was notorious for its switch issues. Most of my switches work by making contact with this copper pad, but over time it'll like erode or just wear in general, and then you'll get issues like double clicking, not clicking at all, or sometimes it'll just like hold down press when you're not actually holding it down. I had the older G502 Hero before getting this, and I ran into those issues, which is why I bought this new one. It started with minor double clicks, which were annoying at first, but eventually it just became unusable. My initial fix was to open it up myself and clean the copper, which fixed it for a little bit, but eventually this issue came back. So with this new mouse, theoretically you shouldn't have that issue at all, and I'm happy to report that so far, no issues of switches breaking down. Now I've had the old one for like 2 years before it started to show any issues. This one I've only had for 5 months so far, so if any issues start to happen in the future, I'll leave a comment below. Honestly, that's really the biggest change and the only reason you'd want to upgrade from the old one, but there are a few more differences. Good and bad. The first one being bad, and the most important one to me, these switches are just really loud, especially compared to the old one. But yeah, if you don't care, whatever. The scroll wheel is a bit lighter, but the notches I think are a bit more noticeable and like spaced out, if that makes sense. I think I prefer the new one a little bit more. The side buttons protrude out like a little bit more, and I also think the mouse is a bit wider than the older Hero. So depending on the size of your hand, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. For me, it's a little bit more comfortable. The sniper button, which by default lowers the sensitivity when you hold it down, can just be replaced with this like stopper, which I guess stops it from being pressed if you keep pressing it by accident or just don't want it. But also because of this like wing design on the sniper button, it's also a bit easier to reach than the older one. I think the overall design of the mouse is pretty sleek and everything is smoothed out a bit more than the old one, and that makes it a lot easier to clean. There are still these specific 3 crevices which are hard to clean though. The mouse feet are different and you can't adjust the weight like the previous mouse, which isn't a huge deal to me. Most people want a lighter mouse and the old one is already 121 grams, so I don't know how many people were adding the optional weight anyway. This new one is 89 grams, so not lightweight but much lighter than 121 grams. And that's pretty much it. I guess the old one has a bit more RGB, but I don't care. So overall, this mouse is a small evolution of the G502 Hero, with the biggest drawback for me being the loud switches. Overall though, I think I still like this new one a bit more. It got all the same features as the old one. I love the side scroll for large OneNote documents. The infinite scroll is useful to go through large documents. However, I think these are a bit too expensive. I got these for 70 Canadian dollars after a student discount. Usually the older G502 Hero is listed for 60 Canadian dollars or 40 USD, and the new one is 90 Canadian dollars or 60 USD. To be honest, I think both of them are priced a bit too high, but I just can't go back to the old one because of the unreliable switches. So if you somehow get it for cheaper on some like discounts, or maybe you can get the student discount as well, that would be really good. But otherwise, that's really it. Good mouse, just too expensive in my opinion, just by a little bit.